it's a crappy manager, a crappy management team, or you have one person put into like, a lot of times you have like these hourly employees that are not given management training, and they just get thrown into this leadership position because the manager doesn't want to work.
And especially when you get promoted within too, I think that's a big problem.
Yeah. And then now you have this person with this power that they've never had before. And of course, you have people that are in the job for two reasons: because of the power that they can tell people what to do, or because they just want to make money.
Yeah. Or they just want manager experience too, like on their resume.
Yeah. You can do that as well.
There's a lot of reasons why maybe a bartender server did move up to manager, just to get that notch on the belt as them. But whenever you promote within a company, dude, there's almost like some kind of like animosity that gets generated throughout, all the other coworkers, because, Doug, him and I were just on the same level. Now he's telling me that I'm over pouring my fucking margaritas. Now he's telling me how this is how I'm making drinks now and shit.
Yeah, and I disagree with the policy of promoting from within and keeping in the same store. Now, the policy a lot of these stores have is, well, we do that. When they become a manager, then they go to a different store. But I'm like, no. When they're promoted to a team leader, right, that has the same principles and powers.
Shift supervisor.
Yeah. That's bullshit, man. No, don't call them that. Don't do anything with that. Have them help the manager and have them learn them with the manager, have them put them on a management thing, but don't give them the power until they actually fully achieve that status. And then you send them to another store where they start off from blank, because that builds animosity between team members. And
it's like jealousy too, I guess.
It is. And it also instigates the person who just moved up into that position to exert their new authority.
Yeah. Which is also really dangerous. We had a manager like that at Williams, I felt like. I think this was after you left and you were only there too often, but she was promoted within. And like, if someone didn't listen to her, I mean, I always listen, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to sound any bullshit, but I know those other coworkers that it's a lot easier to butt heads with people, dude, when you promote within.
And you have to look at like, look, when you go through formalized training, or not, I won't say formalized training, but you at least go through some sort of training, leadership begins from within you. It's not an external factor of, I have power over you. You have to do this because I say so.
Yeah.
Like, people don't respond to that.
You want to lead and not be a leader.
Yeah.
And you want to set the standards high too, and make sure you keep everyone else there. And you want to talk to them and like, try not to be them in a, like, it's hard to give someone advice that's your friend, that you've been working with it, and for them not to take it personally, and for you not to deliver that advice in a condescending way.
Yeah, exactly. Now take all of that information that you learned for doing that, and now transition it away from working for somebody else, and now going out on your own and running your own business, where you're your own leader. You've learned all of these skills over the course of your life, and now you have the opportunity to, I don't want to say infect other people, but charge other people with your positivity and the things that you learned to maybe grow your own team or your own business or whatever you want to do with it, right? So it's good to like be an employee and learn from that.
Yep.
And get those positive. And once you have that information, the only thing keeping you back is your fear from
failing.
Yeah,
really,
pretty much.
That point.
Losing money or failing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, really honestly in life, man, like we live in probably the safest time in human history.
Yeah.
Like, let's face it, if I don't succeed in the business world, I can still go down to the food shelf and pick up food.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not going to starve to death.
Yeah.
So the concept of reality that we live in, failure is going to happen, and we need to like recognize that. But like, the level of failure isn't life or death.
And I heard a good one the other day. Failure is feedback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Failure is feedback to whatever it is that you tried doing. And you want to take that failure and kind of just learn from it, and then go on to your next businesses and your next journeys in life.
I think so. And then you ask yourself in that moment, have you ever been in this moment where like you're just getting your ass kicked or whatever, right? You're just in like a horrible scenario, and you're like, what on earth did I do to be put into this scenario? Yeah. And you don't know why you're there.
What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
The host just like triple seats you or whatever.
Yeah. Or like you're working every weekend for a year straight and you don't see your family, and you're like, why am I doing this? Right.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, you find yourself in the perfect position to succeed in a losing scenario because you have already conquered that skill the previous 2 years or whatever it would be. Right.
Yeah.
Giving you the exact, it's almost like fate or the universe or whatever put you in a moment of pain in order for you to be successful in the future and down the road.
And sees if you can handle it. Can you handle working every day without taking a fucking day off for 3 months? Like, I did that when I was working at UPS and like serving and bartending tables. Legit, I think I went for like 2 or 3 months without having a single day off, because I'd always be at the restaurant on weekends, you know what I mean, Saturday, Sunday, and then UPS was always Monday through Friday. And I was prideful about it. I was like, yeah, I fucking work all the time, you know what I mean? I was making shit money for the amount of hours I was working. Like you said, I never saw my friends. I never fucking saw my family. But I instead of like looking back at that time as like a negative, I now look at it as like, man, like I have that grind in me. Well, I can fucking go every day for months on end and build something and create something. Unfortunately, in the past, I was building and creating for other people, though.
Yeah. And now you have that opportunity for you.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to think about how hard you worked.
Yeah.
Now look at you're in it for yourself. How much harder?
It's like, can you hack it, basically?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People who are working 3-4 fucking jobs, okay, you guys can hack it. That's awesome. But make sure one of those jobs is like, you're doing something for yourself in there. Like,
yeah. You know, going forward with this adventure that we're about to do, I would not be able to do it if I didn't have the experience of reading profit and loss reports and reading the reports through a business, right? Like understanding money in, money out, you know, how a direct relationship on a decision you make affects your bottom line.
Right.
You know, and being able to see it on paper. Now, anybody can read a spreadsheet. Like I can pull open a spreadsheet and on things coming in and
not everyone can, dude. You're giving people too much credit.
You think so?
Yeah. There's some dumbasses out there.
I suppose, man. I suppose. But, you know, I mean, when it comes down to basic, when you make the connection between this number and a behavior.
Yeah.
That will tell you right then and there that we won't do this behavior so that number goes positive, you know? And I think that's the key indicator of being able to look at those reports and understand what those numbers really mean. You know, yes, the dollar figure is high, but if the like amount of time and labor to get that is also really high,
is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
You know, so like there's questions you have to ask yourself about that, you know, like what are you wanting to invest in it and where are you going with it and all that stuff. There's a lot of questions.
Is it worth the risk or the pain in the ass, really? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I mean, is the cost high and is the potential value low after you get done with it, right? Like, like for example, to give you kind of a better scenario, steaks at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Steaks are the worst moneymaker.
Really?
Yeah, because if you think about it, you know, you're buying a ribeye for $15 a piece and you're selling it for $23 a piece.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
When you're buying a hot dog, you're buying a pack of fucking 30 of them for like $5.
For sure.
And you're selling it for $5 a piece.
Yeah, dude, Mystic Lake figured that out, dude. The slot dogs that they got over there, fuck, dude, they probably get hot dogs for probably 5 or 10 cents, dude. They just sell them for $1. And they're fucking good, dude.
And they and that's probably one of their best sellers.
It is,
you know, and it probably makes them a lot of cash.
I get a slot dog every time I go to Mystic. I don't know. There's just something about them. I'm there, I'm craving a slot dog. When I was there, I was at Mystic. I played bingo like a month ago, actually, with the lady during COVID, which, by the way, if anyone who likes to play bingo, now is the time to go because they're at fucking half capacity, but the payouts and the cost is still the same. So, dude,
that's actually pretty good.
No, legit. I learned that day. I was like, man, we got to start coming to bingo more often, babe.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, I mean, that's really what it's all about, man, is, you know.
It's being a sponge, you know what I mean? I think so I'm 29 now, and I'm starting to look at and plan end game things in my life, you know? And through my first job when I started working I was doing door-to-door sales for Frontier Communications, selling internet. So I sucked at it and I hated it, but it was a job, you know what I mean? I did it. And I have all these different jobs. So I'm doing door-to-door sales to UPS and restaurant shit. Now that I'm in my late 20s here, it's time to like squeeze that sponge out and take everything that I learned, you know what I mean? And then apply it to something else. Like,
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think COVID is teaching everybody the hard way.
yeah.
The people that aren't prepared, right? It's the people with money and resources and the people that don't have money and resources.
And the people
That's really what it's about.
And people who can't adapt either.
Exactly.
That shows the other thing. Like, I'm glad I've had all these different types of jobs. Well, I know it's like, okay, restaurant business fucking sucks right now for COVID. Just instated the new curfew from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Doesn't really affect my new bartending gig all that much, you know what I mean? But if you're working at a dive bar, you're basically screwed. That's prime time for you. And even more businesses are going to close down now. But I'm not afraid to go do landscaping or go back to a fucking warehouse if I really need to do some physical labor shit. But some people if you only drove semi-trucks your whole 20, 30 years of your life, and now they have AI semi-truck drivers, and you're going to expect some of these people to adapt? Like,
yeah,
it's tough to.
You have to. You have to transition into a new marketplace, and you start looking at like, how is this going to change the business culture of restaurants with COVID? Right now, I mean, if you have a brick and mortar building, then that's all you have, and you're expecting guests to fill up your establishment in order to make a profit, you're going to lose your business, because you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. And you can't say, okay, well, after COVID's done, people are going to go back to their lives the normal way. It's not going to happen, because the way the government and everything is setting it up is that this is going to change our lives forever. You know what I'm saying? They've already been saying it on TV. So you have to adapt and change. To the current trends.
Oh, I think after this, everyone is going to need to have some sort of basic understanding with computers, and any smart business owner is going to want to have some sort of an online presence. I think it's kind of pushing everyone towards more the technology side and more having the computers and machines do shit for us than it is, and it's going to take away a lot of the physical labor gigs are going to die. I think this is going to push people more towards that. But
yeah, I think. I think the mundane jobs for sure. I mean, the technical stuff like plumbers and electricians, I think, are safe for a while.
That'll be good.
Until they invent a completely like automated robot that can walk around and do stuff, like that and think on their own. But yeah, you're right, man. I think that online, or if you're a restaurant, right? Like those little Asian takeout places are probably just making bank right now.
Oh, dude, there's this one. Yeah.
So why not just open up if you're really set on opening up a restaurant and it's your like heart's desire. Don't even bother buying a big building. Buy a little crap hole place in the side of a strip mall, and then sell to your local area.
Dude, the place Washington Square where I'm working at right now, they have like 5 fucking tablets. Of like DoorDash, Uber Eats, of all these like app companies that are running around picking up shit. I was laughing because like any like homeless person, or anyone who's just hungry, could just walk in there and take food for free, because they just set to goes on this bench and they put your name on it, and it's already been paid for. And legit, people just walk in, they look it up, and grab things and pick them out. Like,
that's hilarious. Yeah, Chipotle does something like that.
Yeah, so does Noodles and Company. I don't know.